Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be showcasing Shiro's favorite character and his one and only waifu, Dahlia.
You actually tried to touch me.
My bad, I'll save that for Shiro. I'll save it for Shiro. God.
How did I end up like this?
So Dahlia is regarded as one of the more popular PvP units. She is incredibly strong, incredibly powerful, has a really hard time not being useful. She is the enchanter, so it means that she is going to be a little bit more on the speedy side. There are going to be some rangers that are going to outspeed her at base, but for the most part she is pretty well off when it comes to the speed department, which is exactly where you need her to be. Like every breakdown, we are going to start with her skills. So her S1, Icicle Lance, attacks an enemy and increases the priority of the caster by 30%. I don't have it maxed out, otherwise it would be 30%. You're realistically not going to be using this S1 very often. However, it is a good way for her to get her turns up really fast, so you can keep popping her S2 and her S3. It's pretty strong, and by pretty strong I mean it does okay damage for what class she is. She really does excel in her debuff potential, and just letting your opponent not play the game. She is the original Gnosis Nella, if that makes sense. Her S2, Absolute Zero, removes 2 buffs from targets not inflicted with Frozen, then attacks all enemies, increases the damage dealt to targets inflicted with Frozen. So this is a good way if someone throws up like a Monad Eva invincibility shield. This is a good way to just stop them in their tracks, get rid of the invincibility, and get rid of their speed buff. It is really nice to just get rid of those buffs immediately and be able to go right into more effects. It also is her burst skill. At burst level 1, grants a barrier to all of her allies. It's again proportional to her attack, so you do want to invest a little bit of attack onto her. I primarily focus speed. At level 2, inflicts Frozen on all enemies for 1 turn, increased damage dealt to bosses. So not only is it going to remove 2 buffs from targets not inflicted with Frozen, it is also then going to freeze them, then attack them all, and then it's also going to increase the damage dealt. So you're kind of getting all of it. And then at level 3, it changes to an enhanced skill, which activates all the effects of Absolute Zero, which is going to do the buff strip, the freeze, attacking all enemies, and the increased damage to them when they're inflicted with Frozen, which is really, really strong. It's really helpful, it's really powerful, and it's just really nice to have. Moving on from there, we do have her S3, Diamond Dust. It is really strong. Attacks all enemies. After attacking, has a 100% chance to inflict Frozen on all enemies for 1 turn, and has a 100% chance to inflict reduced speed for 2 turns. And then right after using it, she doesn't trigger counterattack, revenge, or agile response, and again increased damage dealt to bosses. You really won't be using her for any kind of PvE, realistically. There'll be a couple niche situations in which she's really helpful, but for the most part it's all going to be PvP focused. And her speed debuff is 30%. So she is pretty strong, and if you really do care, she is a starter and does find weakness, kind of like how Eternal does. It is kind of helpful, but not really. You won't be using it in PvP, hence why it's level 3. Her Icicle Lance is level 3 as well for me. I don't use it in PvP very often, so. Her exclusive equipment is incredibly strong because of what its effects is. So she gets plus 30 effectiveness to anybody who's a fire element, which isn't that great. However, because it's her exclusive equipment, she has a 100% chance to increase speed for 1 turn at the start of battle. And I believe, I wish I could see it. I believe the speed bump here, I believe the speed increase is 30%. So that being 30%, you take whatever your speed is, add 30% to it. For me, being 260 flat, it would actually be closer to, what would that be? Like 333, I think. which I think does outspeed most characters at max speed regardless. I think it does outspeed Demi Vlada, I think, just as she is right now. I don't actually know for sure. I'd have to double check that. But, as we've all been waiting for, this is the gear. I am borrowing this from my Gnosis Nella. This was actually my Dahlia's before I gave it to Gnosis Nella. So, there's a reason why. So, I like using Noblewoman's Guile for her. If I could get it with speed, I would. I like having the Incision because being able to inflict another debuff along with everything else is really strong. Dice Array, I really like it for her, increasing priority by 40% when she does a debuff. Realistically, she's going to be slamming down freezes and everything else with her skills, because all of her skills, I mean, Absolute Zero and Diamond Dust both do debuffs. Strips buffs do debuffs, as long as you do it right. For other weapon choices, realistically, because I don't really see using anything other than Dice Array. Where is it? No, that's Memento Mori. That's Queen of Prison. There it is. Dice Array. For weapon choices, you have Fire Fists. You're not really going to be killing anybody with her initially, so that's not worth it. You have Noblewoman's Guile, of course. You have Thumping Knuckle Dusters. Increases damage. You could do Thumping Knuckle Dusters if you're really hurting for that damage. Last Hope, I don't really like it. You won't be using her burst skill her basic skill very often. Sublime Melody, I mean, you could Sublime Melody if you really wanted to. And then of course you have the new weapons from the new patch that just hit. The Barrios Recklessness, this one wouldn't be too bad. Gorgon's Wrath is pretty bad. So realistically, I like Noblewoman's Guile. I think it's the better one. That bleeding chance can be really helpful. That residual damage, because they're also going to be really slow. Because of the freeze and the speed debuff, that bleed debuff will stick around for a while, and then you can really capitalize on it later. Because debuffs are based off of their turns, so the less turns that they get, the longer that debuff just sits there and allows you to do a lot with it. But other than Dice Array and Noblewoman's Guile, I don't really think of anything else that you'd really want to use. Speed gear, 100% you want to run speed gear on her if you want any chance of cleaving through some opponents like Demi Vlada. If you see a cleave defense, you want to outspeed them. You want to run full speed. Speed is your number one priority with her, in my opinion. Shiro, like always, give me that stat drop of the stat priorities. First things first, you do want to prioritize that speed stat. You want as high of a speed stat as you possibly can. After that, you probably want effectiveness. You want to be able to make sure you're freezing them every single time. After that, you want accuracy. You want to make sure you're always hitting them every single time. I did mine a little backwards. You could probably prioritize accuracy over effectiveness. It doesn't really matter which one you want to do, one or the other. If you're running into a lot of people who are just dodging your stuff, focus accuracy. If you're running into opponents that are just not getting frozen, and it just has resilience on them, you definitely want to build up your effectiveness a little bit more. With mine that I have right now, I don't really have any problems with it because that freeze is a 100% chance. Dahlia, if you could just be quiet for a moment. Thank you. But I don't have a problem hitting anybody, and I don't really have a problem with anybody succeeding through my frozen debuff. So I don't really have a problem with that. After that, realistically, you could build crit chance if you want to worry about critting. My problem is that if you do run into a problem in which you're not freezing and you're missing, and you happen to, or you don't freeze and you happen to crit the wrong opponent, like a Gnosis Dahlia, she's going to get one shot every single time. So in my opinion, crit chance and crit damage aren't that important for her. I would rather just focus on building attack. Oh my god, don't do that voice line again. After accuracy and effectiveness, I would really build up that attack stat. It's just going to allow you to chunk more, and it also is going to give you a bigger barrier for your team, which will help overall in the end. Again, she is very PvP heavy, so right now we're having a good bit of speed creep for PvP, so you're really going to want to focus on that PvP speed creep. It is going to cause a lot of problems if you can just outspeed them, freeze them immediately, and then just crush their souls into powder. That is the best way to play with Dahlia. She really does well with other high damage dealers. For example, Gnosis Dahlia. Believe it or not, Dahlia and Dahlia, great team composition. I like bringing Christina as support because Christina also allows you to get an attack and a defensive bump, which will help her stay alive a little bit better. And it also works on the opponent's turn, so Christina doesn't need to take her turn for it to work. It just procs when the opponent procs, and it procs with like if Mana and Eva were to use her agile response or counterattacks or anything else. It's super helpful. It has saved my Dahlia a couple of times, but we'll get into the team comp when I do her showcase tomorrow or another day, depending. She is Shiro's favorite, so maybe do expect a little fan service from Shiro here. If you want Shiro, you can throw up whatever you want of Dahlia. If you just have some fun pictures, I'll give you the floor for the next, minute. If you just want to express your love for your blue-haired waifu over here, I'll give you the minute. Go for it. But I'm gonna leave because I have things to do. So I'll let you have this minute. Oh, Dahlia, please no. That voice line drives me nuts. Anyways, I hope you guys found that informative. It's really simple for Dahlia. That's why this video is so much shorter than the rest. Dahlia is a very simple one. You just crank that speed, and then you just shred. It is that simple. She is very easy to build, very simple to build. You throw the highest base speed gear on her, crank up that effectiveness and accuracy, and you just start winning games. She will carry you to probably high diamond. Very little problem getting to high diamond with just her and a well-built team. That I will show you the team that I use with Dahlia in the showcase, and I hope that that's at least more informative. I hope it's at least more entertaining than this. This is more informative, so I understand if it was a little boring, and I wasn't trying to rush through it. It is just very easy to go through her skills and everything because she is very, very easy to build. She's incredibly easy to build. It is absurd. Also, she's got some of the best. She also has some of the best costumes. I mean, look at that. That's adorable. That's adorable. And then Shiro's favorite. I don't have either of these, and he'll probably be mad at me for not having either of these. I know he does. I think he has the uninvited summer guest. I don't think he has the Christmas one. I don't think he was playing during the time of the Christmas one or didn't buy it. If it comes back this Christmas, I know he's going to buy it. So, anyways, that's going to be it for me. Enough rambling from me. Shiro, take the floor as soon as I outro. I will catch you guys in the next one. And I hope you guys found this informative, and I'm excited for you to see you guys when I do the showcase. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.